Hey, so what if life didn't have to feel so hard all the time? What if you didn't have to hustle? What if you didn't have to be a boss babe? What if you didn't have to grind? Those are all things that I asked myself before I decided to intentionally make the decision to embrace a soft life, a life of simplicity and a life of abundance. A soft life is a life that is focused on ease, on simplicity, on intentional living. It is not laziness, it is not giving up, and it is not selfish. It is necessary, it is aligned living, and it is very intentional. So, why does it even matter? The reason that I think it's important for you to know about a soft life is because I think that it will bring more joy if you call it in yourself. We live in a world that is overstimulating. We are constantly bombarded by sounds and lights and smells, and everything is just hitting us from all directions. We didn't evolve that way. We evolved in nature where it's mostly quiet, where the seasons change, and where we watch as a plant grows or as an animal grows or our children. These are the things that we evolved doing. And in the last 100 or so years, 150 years, things have gotten so much more intense. And I think that that has caused a huge disconnect in our society, and people are unhappy. We have this massive chronic dis-ease. People are sick. And that is where I found myself. And that is why I chose to make a huge drastic change in my life. I spent so much of my life feeling like I had to hustle. I had to do the next new business idea. I had to be a boss. And in doing that, I lost sense of myself. And so now I am entering my soft life era, the time of my life where I am embracing stillness and calm and simplicity. And I'm calling upon you to do the same so we can build a community of people who can support each other in embracing the less common route, in embracing that calm. So what kind of benefits can you expect to see from embracing a softer life? You can expect to see mental health improvements, stronger, more committed relationships, more time to do what matters, and better physical health as well. And for me, that's enough. That's what I want in life. So what about you? Does your current lifestyle align with who it is you want to be, with the life you want to have lived when you look back, when you're at the end of it? Do you want to say, this is the life that I lived? Is it aligned with who you are? And if not, it's time to change. So there are some signs that you may be stuck in hustle mode. You might feel overworked. You might feel like you have no time for yourself or time for your family or the things that really matter to you. You might be exhausted. You may not be getting enough sleep. Your physical health may be in decline. And you may feel guilty for even resting. All of those things lead to burnout. Burnout robs you of your joy. It causes you to live in this fight or flight mode constantly. Your nervous system is just bombarded. Do you ever feel like you're always working, you're always spinning your wheels, and it's never enough? Well, if that's the case, this is your call to live a softer life. And this is my way of telling you how to wait. If that's the case, let's call in a shift. Let's shift to living a softer life. And this is how to do it. I have 5 things that I really try to incorporate to live a softer life. And that may sound overwhelming, and that is the opposite of what I want to do here. So I encourage you to listen to the 5 things that I have to say and to pick one that resonates with you. And if not, I'll give you a tip of the one that I would choose personally to be my first at the very end of the video. But I encourage you to listen to all 5 and slowly make baby steps to transition from hustle mode to joy and peace mode, because that's all we want in our life, right? We just want to live a connected, intentional life. So the first thing is to reassess your priorities. What are really your true priorities? Make a list. What drains you and what fills you up? Because you cannot, and I've said this before and I will say it again, you cannot fill someone else's cup if yours is not full to begin with. So you need to make a list of, these are the things that drain me, or these are the things that fill me, and these are the things that drain me. And I want you to reassess those things that drain you especially. I want you to reassess, are they really important? What on this list can I just cross out and be done with? And I want you to ask yourself, what actually makes me happy? And I want you to take time to think about that answer. Don't just, oh, this makes me happy. I want you to think about it, sleep on it. What really makes you happy? A lot of us don't even know that because we're so overstimulated and so overworked that we have lost sight of what is important to us. And that is a travesty. So just focus on quality over quantity in your relationships, in the work that you take on, and even the things that you do, the things that you say yes to. And that leads me to my second point. I want you to reassess your boundaries. I want you to be better at having boundaries. I want you to say no more often, because saying no is your superpower. And I talked about this in another video that I made, and I can link it below. But saying no is your superpower. That is your bold and powerful no, okay? And I want you to get better at doing that. Protect your boundaries. Boundaries are not selfish. They are not an attack on someone else. They are not mean. They are not cruel. They are necessary. They are self-care. They are self-love. I want you to say no to anything that you are doing, any event that really doesn't serve you, that you're not excited about, that is not important in any way. You don't have to go to every party. You don't have to go to every event. Also say no to new work that comes out. You don't have to take on every project. You don't have to volunteer for everything. You don't have to always be PTA mom or the homeroom mom, or in my case, the homeschool organizer. You don't have to do all of those things all the time. You can say no, and you should say no so that you can say yes to the things that really do matter enthusiastically and happily and without feeling drained, where you have energy for those things. Okay, and my third tip is to build routines that actually serve you. And I'm going to focus here mostly on morning routines and nighttime routines, but there are routines that you can do throughout the day. The Atomic Habits is an amazing book that I've read a couple times, but one of the things that stuck with me the most was habit stacking, where you take something that you already do, say drinking coffee in the morning, and you add a habit to it that is good for you, that is fulfilling for you. So along the lines of what I'm talking about isn't a habit that maybe is good for business or something like that, but is a habit that is good for taking care of yourself. So say you drink coffee in the morning. Well, why don't you also drink a big cup of water? Because you're taking care of your body. So when you get that cup of coffee, while it's brewing, drink that big cup of water first. And then you're stacking those habits together, okay? So routines can be throughout the day. They can be little things that you add in when you do something else. Maybe when you get into your car and you put into your maps, maybe you say your mantra for the day to yourself at that same time. You stack that habit in. I have a personal mantra that I like to say to myself to keep myself on track with what I am trying to accomplish in my life and what I'm trying to do for myself and my healthy relationship with food, because that is something that I am focusing on. But you could have a mantra that works for you and works for slowing your life down. So those are routines that happen throughout the day, but your morning routine is essential because your morning routine, believe it or not, affects your sleep. And obviously your nighttime routine does too, and I will address that. But your morning routine, when you wake up, try to wake up with the sun if you can. Try to go outside, or if it's very cold, why don't you sit in a window where you get as much direct sunlight as you can in the morning. Get those sun rays, those first rays of dawn that are reds and pinks, because you're going to get a lot more of that red light spectrum, which will actually kick in your circadian cycle, which will create a better circadian rhythm so that at nighttime you're tired. Then you can go to sleep at a reasonable time. I know me, I wake up very early and I see those lights every morning. We happen to live in a place that has phenomenal sunrises, so I'm very lucky. I know that. But I get to see that every morning. And then, a couple hours after dark, I am ready to pass out. I am exhausted. Whereas I see my kids who wake up a little bit later than me, they don't have that and they want to stay up later. So that's something that we're working on with them. So that is really important. And then add in something that you do in the morning to take care of yourself. just for you. For me, I really enjoy reading in the morning. After I have my coffee with my husband and I feel those sun rays, I like to read, and then I exercise. So exercise is really important to do throughout the day as well. And if you have a lot of adrenal fatigue or a lot of stress in your life, I highly encourage that the exercise that you do be soothing and gentler at first. Go on walks, swim, do yoga, and then add in that really important, I'm not discrediting muscle building at all, but add in that weightlifting, that muscle building later, once you have soothed your nervous system. And for a nighttime routine, do what serves you best at night. You don't have to do what everyone else does. You don't need a 10 to 20 step skincare routine. You don't need to read or take a bath, but you may need one of those things. I personally like to get clean at night. I like to take a shower. I like to read, and I like to do some red light therapy. And I do very simple skincare. I basically wash my face and rub it with tallow. So that is what I like to do for my nighttime routine, but everyone is different. And I really encourage, the point of this video really is for you to embrace and live a life that is more aligned to who you are and not what everyone else or society expects of you. So just the takeaway on routines is prioritize sleep, prioritize self-care, prioritize movement. And remember that consistency matters more than perfection. We are not trying to get to the point where you are rigid and you are doing every little step every day. There will be days that you miss, and that is okay. That is part of living this intentional, slower paced life, is that you are accepting, not just accepting, embracing that you are imperfect, and in the imperfection lies beauty. Okay, and the fourth step in embracing a softer life is to simplify your finances. Now, this is pretty much twofold for me. I really feel like for me it was a lot about unsubscribing from massive amounts of subscriptions that I had. And I think a really good way to do that is just kind of keep a running tally. I know that there's software that you can get that will help you with this. I think maybe Quicken, maybe Rocket Money. I think there's a few different ones out there, but you can also do it yourself. But just keep track of what you have subscribed to and regularly unsubscribe. Go through every week if you can, or at least once a month, and unsubscribe from those things that, maybe a Facebook ad popped up and you subscribed to some little thing because you wanted the answers to a quiz, and then now you are paying $2.99 a week. Unsubscribe from that. You don't need that. And that will allow you to have the money available to do the things that really matter to you. And so that is the other half of this step, is I want you to really think long and hard about every time you're spending money on something. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to go to every event. You don't have to go on every vacation. You don't have to buy every new fad thing that came out. You don't have to go to every new restaurant in your town. You can really just take a step back. I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. I don't need to be like anybody else. I am going to do the things that serve me only, and really spend the money on the experiences that matter to you, that bring you joy, that bring you fulfillment and happiness and connection. And everything else can go away because it really doesn't matter. Okay, and number 5, which I think I'm gonna make a video about this just on its own at some point, is to practice gratitude. When we practice gratitude, we are putting positivity out into the universe. And in doing that, we are calling more positivity back in. That is kind of an essential component to manifesting. And I think we all want to be better manifestors, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be able to have the power to create the life that they dream of. And I think that the first step to manifestation is to live in gratitude for what you already have. And that may sound odd because manifestation is all about getting something in the future, but gratitude is what puts you into that mindset where I'm worthy. I have a great situation. I love myself, so I deserve more of that. So that's kind of how manifestation works. So when we are grateful, we are positive. When we are positive, we draw in more positive. In order to practice gratitude, if you don't already have experience with this, I think a really simple way is to get a gratitude journal that really makes you happy. Something that has really pretty colors or a pretty picture or something that just resonates with you in some way. Keep it by your bed And before you go to sleep at night, if it falls within your nighttime routine and it feels aligned for you, go ahead and write 3 things down that you are grateful for that either happened that day or that you have in your life, and really think on those. It's a very nice way to kind of calm your mind and center yourself before you go to sleep. And it really does help relax you into sleep, and it helps to draw in more positivity. Because gratitude shifts your perspective and makes you feel lighter overall. It's a beautiful thing to practice. So there are some challenges when you choose to live a softer life, and it mostly has to do with external factors. It mostly has to do with being afraid. Are other people going to judge me? I was the hustle queen, and all of these people around me expected so much of me, and then I step back and, hey, are they going to be upset? Most of the time, no. Most of the time, they won't care. And if they do, it's really not their business. And some people might ask, hey, you used to do a lot and you're not doing as much anymore. What's going on? And I encourage you to tell them about it. Tell them about your choice to live intentionally. And you may be speaking directly to their soul when you say that. You may be encouraging someone else to do the same thing. Maybe that's what they needed to hear all of this time. And some people may not understand, and that is okay. You just release that and you continue to do what you're doing because you know what you're doing works for you. And another way that you can be feeling judged in doing this is by yourself. If you were like me and you were all about productivity before, you may feel like, oh, I'm not being productive. I'm not doing enough anymore. And that is very natural. So I encourage you to just take baby steps. Take baby steps with this. Don't try to do it all at once. It will feel different and odd at first. But I encourage you to embrace rest, because rest is not failing. It's part of the process. It is an essential part of the process. It's really hard to make vast changes in your life, and that's why I encourage you to start with one small adjustment. It is tough to change old habits, and it's tough to change so many things at once. And that is why I encourage you to take baby steps and just start with one small adjustment. And I do have a recommendation for which one that will be, but I want to share a story really quickly about someone who I knew who was the most productive person that I knew in my life. She was my aunt. She was my dad's oldest sister. She took on the role of kind of a mother to her siblings from a very early age, because their father was in the military and he would be gone for really long periods of time. And my grandmother had her own set of difficulties that she was dealing with. So my auntie took care of her siblings. And then as she got older and she entered her own career, she worked for the VA. And she would work way longer than she was supposed to. She would take her work home with her and work 60, 70 hours a week. She was a single mom and had primary custody of her 2 boys. She did not treat her body very well at all. She didn't get enough sleep. She didn't eat very healthy because she didn't have time to give to herself. And she passed away very young because of all of that. And I believe that if she had prioritized herself, she would have been able to be here longer with all of the people who loved her so much. She gave so much to people, and she never was able to really give to herself. And that is not the life that I want to live. That's not the life I want for any of you, for my children, for anyone that I care about. So that is why I am here. I see some of my auntie in me sometimes. I tend to burn out and give and give and give, where I'm losing sleep and I'm exhausted and I'm eating unhealthy. And that is not the life that I want for myself. I was trying to address just the eating, but I can't address the eating without addressing the mental place that I'm in. So that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm sharing this with you, because I want to create a community of people who want to help other people get to this place of joy, of freedom, of self-love, of real intentional living. So is there anyone in your life that can be an example of why you would want to change? And I'm not saying that it has to be negative. Maybe you know someone who was living a hustle life, a boss babe life, and then made an intentional change. And maybe they're doing great. So live that example. Or think of my auntie, or someone in your life who may be like her, who gives and gives, who gave and gave, until burnout finally got her. And that is not what we want for any of us. So what would your life look like if you made these changes today? Again, living a soft life is not about perfection, and it's not about laziness. It is about living with intention and ease. If you are going to do one thing, I said that I would tell you this in the beginning of the video, but if you are going to do only one thing today, only one baby step, I encourage you to set a boundary today. I encourage you to say no to something today that you would have normally said yes to, and instead use that time for yourself. That is the first thing that I would do if I were just starting out. And then start to implement the things that resonated with you in the way that they resonate the best. Live a life that is aligned for you. If this video helped you at all, please comment, like, subscribe if you want, but let's build a community that supports each other. We're all going through this. We all live in this super stimulating world. Let's build something together. And remember, you deserve to live a life that feels as good as it looks. Thanks. I'll see you guys next time.